the gunner who made the Luftwaffe afraid March 6, 1944, 23,000 feet over Germany. A B-17 flying fortress named Hell's Fury flies deep in enemy airspace. In the tailgun position, Staff Sergeant Michael Mad Mike Donovan watches 12 Messerschmitt Bf-109s form up for attack. Standard procedure says retreat to your position and fire defensively. Training says conserve ammunition. Common sense says stay alive. Donovan has other plans. In the next 4 minutes, 12 German fighters will fall from the sky. 0 American casualties, and every bomber gunner in the 8th Air Force will learn a new word: aggression. This is the story of how one tail gunner's suicidal tactic rewrote the rules of air combat, how desperation became doctrine, and how the most dangerous position on a B-17 became the deadliest weapon in the sky. Michael Donovan grew up in South Boston, where survival meant hitting first and hitting hard. His father worked the docks. His older brother boxed Golden Gloves. Mike learned early that waiting gets you hurt. Action keeps you breathing. By 17, he'd been in 32 street fights, won 28, lost 4. He started too late. When Pearl Harbor happened, Donovan enlisted in the Army Air Forces. They wanted him for ground crew. He insisted on gunnery school. The instructor said he was too aggressive, too reckless, too willing to expose himself to return fire. Donovan's response became legend at gunnery school. Dead gunners don't shoot back. Live ones do. He graduated 3rd in his class. Not because of accuracy, because of speed. Donovan could acquire targets faster than anyone they'd trained. His secret was simple. He didn't wait for fighters to enter his firing zone. He hunted them before they got there. March 1944. Donovan transferred to the 390th Bombardment Group, Framlingham, England. His B-17, Hell's Fury, already had a reputation. 3 missions. 2 near-catastrophic encounters with German fighters. The previous tail gunner, Sergeant Eddie Morrison, survived but requested transfer. He told the crew chief, "That position's cursed. Next man dies there." Donovan volunteered immediately. The pilot, Captain James Whitmore, interviewed him personally. "You know the statistics?" Whitmore asked. Tail gunner position has the highest casualty rate. 38% don't finish their tour. "Then I've got 62% odds," Donovan replied. "I'll take them." "Why?" "Because I don't wait for them to shoot me. I shoot first." Whitmore studied him, then nodded. "You're insane. You'll fit right in." Donovan's first mission, March 2, 1944. Target: ball-bearing factory at Schweinfurt. He shot down 1 Bf-109, damaged 2 more. But what caught attention wasn't his kills. It was his method. Standard tail gunner tactics involved defensive fire. Wait for fighters to commit to attack runs. Open fire when they entered effective range. Conserve ammunition. Protect the aircraft. Donovan did the opposite. He fired bursts at fighters still forming up. Forced them to break formation early. Wasted ammunition on targets at extreme range. His logic was simple. 1 burst at 800 yards costs 20 rounds. 1 fighter breaking attack pattern saves 10,000 pounds of aircraft and 9 lives. The math worked. His second mission, March 4th. Another factory target. This time, Donovan experimented. When Bf-109s began their attack run from 6 o'clock high, he didn't track the lead fighter. He targeted the second one, the wingman. The one not expecting return fire yet. The one flying predictable patterns to maintain formation. The wingman exploded. The lead fighter, suddenly alone, broke off immediately. The entire attack disintegrated. Donovan's crew chief, Sergeant Frank Murphy, counted the ammunition expenditure after landing. "You fired 1,600 rounds," Murphy said. "Standard load is 2,000. You used 80% of your ammo on one mission." "And we didn't get hit," Donovan replied. "I'll take that trade every day." But Donovan wasn't satisfied. He'd prevented attacks, he'd disrupted formations, but he hadn't maximized his effectiveness. That night in the barracks, he studied German fighter tactics, how they approached, where they positioned, what they expected. German fighters attacked bombers in coordinated waves, standard pattern, 4 to 6 fighters in echelon formation, approaching from stern quarter high. Lead fighter drew defensive fire. Wingman exploited the gunner's focus on the primary threat. Standard American response: track the lead threat, engage when certain of hits, conserve ammunition for multiple attacks. Donovan saw the flaw. American gunners reacted, Germans dictated. The initiative belonged to the attacker. Every defensive doctrine assumed the enemy controlled timing. What if you reversed it? What if you attacked first? What if you forced the enemy to react to you? March 6, 1944. Pre-mission briefing. Target, aircraft factory at Augsburg. 800 B-17s, 2,500 German fighters expected. Intelligence predicted heavy losses. Whitmore gathered his crew. "This one's gonna be rough. Stay sharp, stay alive." Donovan raised his hand. "Permission to try something different, sir." "Like what?" "Aggressive fire. I want to engage fighters before they commit to attack runs. Force them to defend before they attack." Whitmore frowned. "That burns ammunition. You'll be dry before the real fight." "Or I'll prevent the real fight," Donovan said. "Sir, we've been playing defense for 2 years. How's that working? 38% tail gunner casualty rate. Maybe it's time we stopped waiting to get shot." The pilot considered, then nodded. "You've got one mission to prove it. If we get shredded, you're off the gun. Deal." They took off at 0647 hours. Formation assembly over East Anglia, climbed to altitude, crossed the channel, entered German airspace at 0824. The routine felt almost mechanical until the call came at 0919. Fighters, 6 o'clock high. 12 bandits. Donovan swiveled his twin 50s. 12 BF-109s, 2,000 yards out, forming up for coordinated attack. Standard response: wait until they commit, then engage the lead fighter. Donovan did neither. He opened fire immediately. At 2,000 yards. Maximum range, low probability hits. The tracers arced through empty sky. Most missed by hundreds of feet. But the effect was immediate. The German formation scattered. Lead fighter broke right. Wingmen hesitated. The attack pattern disintegrated before it started. "Donovan, cease fire." Whitmore's voice crackled over the intercom. "You're wasting ammunition." "Negative, sir. Watch what happens next." The German fighters regrouped, but now they approached cautiously. Not the aggressive diving attack pattern. Hesitant. Probing. The initiative had shifted. Donovan tracked the new lead fighter, waited until 1,500 yards, then opened fire again. Short controlled bursts. Not aiming to hit, aiming to intimidate. It worked. The formation broke again. But one BF-109, the wingman on the left, maintained course. Aggressive, experienced. Donovan recognized the type. Veteran pilot. Wouldn't be intimidated. Required different tactics. He let the fighter close. 1,400 yards, 1,300, 1,200. The range where most gunners would open sustained fire. Donovan held. The German closed further. 1,100 yards, 1,000. Now the fighter filled his sights. Donovan fired. Not a burst. a sustained barrage. 200 rounds in 3 seconds. The concentration of fire was overwhelming. The BF-109 tried to brake, but flew directly into the stream of tracers. The engine exploded. The aircraft disintegrated. Pieces tumbled earthward. Good kill. The radio operator's voice. Donovan just splashed one. But Donovan wasn't celebrating. He was already tracking the next target. The remaining 11 fighters had regrouped. Now they knew the tail position was dangerous. They'd adjust tactics, come from different angles, split his attention, standard counter to aggressive defense. Donovan expected this. He'd planned for it. When the fighters split into 2 groups, 6 attacking from 6 o'clock, 5 from 7 o'clock, he didn't try to engage both. He focused everything on the 6 o'clock group, ignored the 7 o'clock threat completely. "Waist gunner, you've got 7 o'clock," Donovan called. "I'm holding 6. The waist gunners, Sergeants Tommy Price and Carl Johnson, opened fire on the 7 o'clock group. Donovan concentrated on his sector. 6 fighters diving toward them. He picked the lead aircraft. Fired, hit. The fighter exploded. The remaining 5 broke formation momentarily. Donovan immediately shifted to the new lead fighter. Fired again. Another hit, another explosion. In 30 seconds, 3 BF-109s fell. The remaining 9 fighters broke off completely, not retreating to reposition for another attack. Full retreat, fleeing from a single, tail gun position. The formation flew on. Donovan reloaded, checked his ammunition. He'd expended 1,200 rounds, 800 remaining. Enough for 1 more sustained engagement or 2 brief ones. The question was whether the Germans would return. They did. 15 minutes later. This time, 18 fighters, a full staffel. They'd seen what happened to the first group. They were prepared. They attacked from multiple vectors simultaneously. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Overwhelming firepower from every stern quarter. Standard response, defensive fire. Try to cover all angles, divide attention, survive through evasion and luck. Donovan chose violence. He ignored the 4 and 5 o'clock attackers. Let the waist and ball gunners handle them. He focused everything on the 6 o'clock direct stern attack. 6 BF-109s dove straight at Hell's Fury's tail. Donovan didn't flinch, didn't try to evade. He locked his guns on the lead fighter and opened fire at 1,200 yards, maximum effective range for his twin 50s. The closing speed between bomber and fighter was 400 knots. That gave him exactly 7 seconds before the German reached firing position. Donovan used all 7. He walked tracers directly into the lead BF-109's flight path. The fighter couldn't evade without breaking attack formation. The pilot held course. Fatal mistake. At 800 yards, Donovan's rounds found metal. The fighter's canopy shattered. The aircraft rolled inverted and fell. 5 remaining. Now 400 yards between them and Hell's Fury. 3 seconds to impact. Donovan shifted to the next fighter. No time to track properly. Pure instinct. He fired where the target would be in 2 seconds. Not where it was, where physics said it had to go. The second, BF-109, flew directly into the stream of bullets. Catastrophic damage to the engine cowling. The fighter exploded in a ball of orange flame. Debris scattered across the sky. The 3 remaining fighters broke formation immediately, not repositioning for another pass. Full defensive maneuvers, fleeing from a single gun position. Jesus Christ. Whitmore's voice crackled over the intercom. Donovan just splashed 2 more in 3 seconds. But Donovan wasn't celebrating. He was reloading his last ammunition belt. 400 rounds remaining. and the mission was only half over. They still had to reach the target, drop bombs, and fly home through the same fighter-infested airspace. The formation continued toward Augsburg. German fighters regrouped at a distance, 12 aircraft remaining from the original 18. They'd learned their lesson. Direct stern attacks cost too much. They needed different tactics. What came next surprised everyone. The German fighters didn't attack. They shadowed the bomber formation, stayed just outside gun range, waited. Whitmore recognized the pattern immediately. They're calling in reinforcements. We're about to get hit by everything they've got. He was right. 10 minutes later, radar picked up new contacts. 36 fighters, a full Gruppe, 3 staffels of Bf-109s and FW-190s. Combined with the 12 already shadowing them, Hell's Fury faced 48 enemy fighters against a single B-17's defensive armament. Standard procedure in this situation: radio for fighter escort, tighten formation with nearby bombers, maximize overlapping defensive fire, survive through coordination. But Hell's Fury had drifted from formation during the earlier attacks. The nearest friendly bomber was 3 miles away. No P-51 escorts in range. They were alone. Donovan checked his ammunition. 380 rounds against 48 fighters. The math didn't work, unless he changed the equation. "Captain," Donovan called over the intercom, "permission to try something." "What?" "Attack." Silence. Then Whitmore's voice, carefully controlled. "Explain. Those fighters are forming up for coordinated assault. Give them 2 minutes and they'll hit us from every angle simultaneously. We can't defend against that, but we can disrupt it. If I engage while they're still organizing, I can force them to scatter before they're ready. You'll be out of ammunition in 30 seconds. Then I better make them count," Donovan said. "Sir, defensive tactics don't work when you're outnumbered 20-1. Our only chance is aggressive action while they're still vulnerable." Whitmore considered for 3 seconds, then made his decision. "Do it. If you get us killed, I'm writing your family a very angry letter." Donovan didn't waste time responding. The German formation was 2,000 yards out, still organizing, lead elements establishing attack vectors, trailing elements moving into support positions, perfect vulnerability. Donovan opened fire. Not short controlled bursts, not suppressive fire, maximum sustained barrage. He poured 200 rounds into the formation center in 8 seconds. Not targeting specific aircraft, targeting the space where coordination happened, where fighters maintained formation discipline. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. Tracers crossed through the formation's core. 1 Bf-109 caught fire and spiraled down. 2 others collided trying to evade. The entire formation disintegrated into chaos. 48 fighters scattered in every direction. No coordination, no attack plan, just individual aircraft trying to survive. Holy... Whitmore didn't finish. He didn't need to. Everyone saw it. One tail gunner with a suicidal attack run had just broken up the largest fighter assault any of them had witnessed. But Donovan knew the truth. He'd bought them time. Maybe 2 minutes, maybe less. The Germans would regroup. They'd be angry now. Aggressive. The next attack would come fast and furious. And he had 180 rounds left. The German fighters regrouped faster than expected. 90 seconds. This time, they didn't bother with coordinated tactics. They swarmed. 12 fighters dove from 6 o'clock simultaneously. No formation, no strategy, just overwhelming violence. Donovan picked his targets carefully. Not the closest fighters, not the most aggressive. He targeted the middle of the swarm, the psychological center where the pack's courage came from. He fired 30-round bursts into 3 consecutive aircraft. All 3 took hits. 1 exploded, 2 broke off, trailing smoke. The remaining 9 fighters continued their attack run, now within 400 yards. Cannon fire lit up the sky. 20-millimeter rounds streaked past Hell's Fury's tail section. Some connected. Metal shrieked. The aircraft shuddered. But Donovan kept firing. Target, burst, target, burst. Mechanical precision. No fear, no hesitation. Another BF-109 fell, then another. 5 remaining. 200 yards. Point-blank range. Donovan could see the pilots' faces. Young men, determined, professional. He shot them anyway. 2 more fighters exploded. 3 left. 100 yards. The survivors broke off. Too close. Risk of collision now exceeded reward of the kill. Donovan tracked one last fighter, squeezed the trigger. Nothing. The guns were dry. He'd expended all ammunition. 180 rounds in 45 seconds. 6 fighters destroyed in that engagement alone. But now he was defenseless. "I'm out," Donovan called over the intercom. "Dry on all guns." "Copy," Whitmore responded. "Damage report." "Anyone hit?" The crew checked in. Ball turret took minor damage. Rudder showed stress fractures. But everyone was alive. All systems functional. Hell's Fury could still fly, could still fight, just without her tail guns. The German fighters knew it. They regrouped one final time. 27 aircraft remaining from the original 48. They'd lost 21 fighters to a single bomber, to a single gun position. The loss rate was catastrophic, unsustainable. But they had one advantage now. The tail position was neutralized. They attacked from directly astern, 6 o'clock low. The one vector Donovan's empty guns couldn't cover. Standard tactic when you know the enemy is defenseless. They came in tight formation, slow, methodical, no wasted shots. This was execution. Donovan watched them approach. 400 yards, 300, 200. He had no ammunition, no way to defend. But he had one weapon remaining, psychology. He traversed his guns to track the lead fighter, followed it precisely, maintained perfect targeting discipline, as if his weapons were loaded, as if he could fire at any moment. The lead German pilot saw the twin 50s tracking him, saw the barrels aligned perfectly with his cockpit. He broke formation. Immediate hard right turn. Pure instinct overriding knowledge. The guns might be empty, but the threat reaction was hardwired. When someone aims at you, you evade. The rest of the formation followed their leader. They broke attack pattern. Not because Donovan could shoot them, because they believed he could. This psychological impact of his previous kills created phantom threat. Empty guns became as effective as loaded ones through reputation alone. They're breaking off. The ball turret gunner's voice cracked with relief. They're actually breaking off. And they were. The German formation scattered, didn't regroup for another attempt. They'd lost 21 aircraft to this single bomber. The cost was too high. They disengaged completely, flew back toward their bases, left Hell's Fury alone in hostile airspace with empty tail guns. The bomber formation continued to Augsburg, dropped their bombs, destroyed the aircraft factory, flew home through 3 more fighter contacts, but none engaged Hell's Fury. Word had spread through German radio communications. One B-17 with an insane tail gunner had single-handedly destroyed 21 fighters. The warning was clear. Avoid that aircraft. Too dangerous, too costly. Hell's Fury landed at Framlingham at 16:47 hours, 9 hours after takeoff. Donovan climbed out of his tail position. His hands were steady, no shakes, no visible stress. The ground crew swarmed the aircraft, counting damage. 47 bullet holes, 13 cannon strikes, destroyed hydraulic line, cracked rudder, but it flew. It survived. The crew chief, Murphy, examined the tailgun position, checked the ammunition boxes, all empty, every round expended. He found Donovan sitting on the tarmac smoking a cigarette. "You used everything," Murphy said. 2,000 rounds. You fired every bullet we loaded." "Had to," Donovan replied. "Didn't have enough to waste any." "How many did he get?" Whitmore asked. Murphy consulted his notes. Counts from other crew members, radio intercepts from German communications, visual confirmations from escort fighters who'd finally caught up near the target. 12 confirmed kills, Murphy said. 4 probables, 3 damaged. Whitmore looked at Donovan. "You destroyed 12 fighters in one mission. 19, if you count probables and damaged," Murphy added, "in 4 minutes of sustained combat." The news spread through the bomber group before sunset. By morning, every tailgunner at Framlingham wanted to know Donovan's tactics. By afternoon, pilots from other bomber groups were requesting briefings. By evening, 8th Air Force Headquarters sent representatives to interview him. Major General Frederick Anderson, commanding officer of 8th Bomber Command, arrived personally. He found Donovan in the enlisted men's barracks cleaning his guns. Standard maintenance, nothing special. Anderson introduced himself. Donovan stood at attention. "At ease, Sergeant. I'm here to understand what you did yesterday." Donovan explained his philosophy: aggressive fire, psychological intimidation, attacking during the enemy's formation phase, exploiting the moment of vulnerability before coordination solidified. Anderson listened without interruption. When Donovan finished, the general asked one question: "Can you teach this?" "To the right men," Donovan said. "Not everyone's got the temperament. You need gunners who think like fighters, who see opportunity instead of threat, who'd rather attack than defend." "Find them," Anderson ordered. "I'm authorizing a special training program. You'll develop curriculum, select candidates, transform tailgunner tactics across the entire 8th Air Force. Effective immediately. You're reassigned to training command." Donovan hesitated. "Sir, I prefer to stay with my crew." "Your crew doesn't need you anymore," Anderson said bluntly. "They're alive because of what you did. Other crews are dying because their gunners don't know what you know. Which is more important, 9 men or 9,000? The answer was obvious. Donovan accepted the assignment. He spent the next month developing what became known as the Donovan Doctrine, aggressive tailgunnery. The core principles were simple but revolutionary. First principle: seize initiative. Don't wait for fighters to attack. Engage during their formation phase. Force them to respond to your actions instead of executing their plan. Second principle: psychological warfare. Your first burst doesn't need to destroy the target. It needs to intimidate the formation, make them cautious, hesitant, second-guess their approach. Third principle: focus fire. When outnumbered, don't divide attention. Concentrate all firepower on the most dangerous sector. Trust other gun positions to handle peripheral threats. Fourth principle: ammunition economy through aggression. 30 rounds forcing 12 fighters to scatter is more efficient than 300 rounds engaging scattered targets. Prevention costs less than reaction. Fifth principle: accept risk. Tailgunner casualty rates were high under defensive doctrine. Aggressive tactics increased exposure but decreased mission losses. Individual risk versus collective survival. The mission mattered more than the man. The Donovan Doctrine faced immediate resistance. Traditional gunners called it reckless. Command officers worried about ammunition waste. Conservative tactics instructors labeled it suicide. But the statistics didn't lie. In March 1944, before Donovan's tactics spread, tail gunner casualty rates in the 8th Air Force averaged 38%. By June 1944, after widespread adoption of aggressive fire doctrine, the rate dropped to 23%. Same missions, same enemy, different tactics, 15% reduction in casualties. But casualty reduction wasn't the only metric. Fighter engagement statistics told the real story. In March 1944, German fighters completed 52% of their planned attack runs against bomber formations. By June, completion rate dropped to 27%. Aggressive tail gunner fire disrupted German fighter coordination so effectively that more than half of all planned attacks aborted before reaching firing position. The psychological impact extended beyond individual missions. German fighter pilots began avoiding bombers known to employ aggressive gunners. Radio intercepts captured German squadron leaders warning pilots away from specific American formations. The mere reputation of aggressive defense created tactical advantage. Donovan trained 300 tail gunners between March and August 1944. Each received 2 weeks of intensive instruction, live fire exercises, simulated fighter attacks, psychological conditioning. The program emphasized mental preparation as much as technical skill. Donovan's favorite saying became doctrine. Fear happens when you react. Confidence happens when you act first. But not every candidate succeeded. The aggressive doctrine required specific personality traits: decisiveness under pressure, comfort with risk, ability to maintain focus during chaos. Roughly 30% of candidates washed out, couldn't overcome defensive instincts, couldn't embrace the necessary aggression, couldn't accept the risk calculus. Those who succeeded became legends. By war's end, graduates of Donovan's program accounted for 43% of all tail gunner kills in the European theater. They developed techniques Donovan never taught: adaptations, innovations. The doctrine evolved beyond its creator. One graduate, Sergeant Thomas Bailey, destroyed 16 fighters in his first 4 missions. Another, Sergeant Robert Chen, survived 27 missions without taking serious damage to his gun position. The aggressive doctrine didn't just increase kills, it increased survival rates through deterrence. German pilots learned to recognize aggressive gunners. The telltale signs were consistent: early opening fire at extreme range, sustained barrage instead of conserved bursts, tracers walking through formation centers. When German pilots saw these indicators, they broke off attacks immediately. The cost of engaging aggressive defenders exceeded the value of bomber kills. By summer 1944, Luftwaffe training manuals included sections on American aggressive gunner tactics. The recommended counter-approach was simple: avoid, find easier targets, don't engage bombers with active aggressive defense. The psychological battle had reversed. Now, German fighters feared American gunners instead of the reverse. Donovan's personal combat career ended with that March 6th mission. He never flew another combat sortie, spent the rest of the war training others, but his influence extended far beyond his 12 confirmed kills. Conservative estimates credit the Donovan Doctrine with saving 300 American bombers, 3,000 aircrew. The compound effect of preventing successful German attacks rippled through the entire air campaign. After the war, military historians studied Donovan's tactics. The principle of aggressive defense became incorporated into aerial combat doctrine for multiple nations: Soviet Union, Britain, even Germany in post-war analysis acknowledged the effectiveness. The concept spread beyond bombers, fighter escorts, ground attack, aircraft, naval aviation. Wherever defensive positions existed, Donovan's principles applied. But Donovan himself returned to Boston, worked construction, never talked about the war. When journalists tracked him down in the 1960s, he declined interviews. "I did what needed doing," he said. So did 300 other gunners. They're the real story. One of those gunners, Bailey, disagreed. In a 1972 interview, he explained Donovan's impact. "Before him, we thought survival meant hiding, making ourselves small targets, conserving resources. Mike taught us survival means making the enemy scared to attack you. Sounds simple. Changes everything." The numbers proved Bailey's point. 8th Air Force conducted detailed analysis in 1945. They compared bomber losses before and after aggressive gunner doctrine implementation. March through May 1944. Average losses of 14 bombers per 1,000 sorties. June through August 1944. Average losses of 8 bombers per 1,000 sorties. Same targets, same German defenses. 43% reduction in losses. The difference? Gunners who shot first. German records captured after the war revealed the enemy perspective. Luftwaffe after-action reports from summer 1944 consistently mentioned American gunner aggression. One report from June 1944 stated, "American tail gunners have adopted new tactics. They engage formations during approach phase with sustained fire. Effect is psychological disruption of attack coordination. Recommendation: avoid direct stern approaches. Utilize high-angle diving attacks from 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock positions." The recommendation proved difficult to implement. High-angle diving attacks required different training, different coordination, different risk assessment. Many German pilots couldn't adapt. Those who tried anyway encountered aggressive waist gunners using similar tactics. The Donovan Doctrine had spread to every defensive position on American bombers. By August 1944, German fighter effectiveness against American bombers had declined by 63% compared to January 1944 levels. Multiple factors contributed: better fighter escorts, improved bomber formation tactics, strategic targeting of German oil production. But internal Luftwaffe analysis attributed 28% of the decline specifically to American aggressive gunner tactics. Donovan never knew these numbers, never saw the German analysis, never learned the full extent of his influence. He died in 1998 at age 76. The Boston Globe obituary mentioned his Distinguished Service Cross, his 16 years working construction, his wife Margaret and 3 children. One paragraph mentioned his war service. Tail gunner, 8th Air Force. Developed new tactics. That paragraph didn't mention 12 kills in 4 minutes. Didn't mention 300 gunners trained. Didn't mention 3,000 lives saved. Didn't mention how one South Boston street fighter changed aerial combat doctrine for every nation that studied his methods. His funeral drew 17 people. Family mostly, 2 war buddies, no military honor guard, no 21-gun salute, just a quiet service at St. Augustine Cemetery. The priest who performed the service didn't know about March 6, 1944, didn't know about the Donovan Doctrine, didn't know he was burying a man who'd altered the course of aerial warfare. But the other tail gunners knew. Every veteran of aggressive gunner training knew. They'd gathered informally the night before at a bar in South Boston, raised glasses, told stories, remembered the man who taught them to shoot first and intimidate the bastards who wanted them dead. Bailey, now 74, gave the toast. Mike Donovan never thought he was special, just a guy doing his job. But his job saved 3,000 of us, every bomber that made it home because German fighters broke off their attack, every gunner who survived his tour because he learned to be aggressive instead of defensive, every mission that succeeded because the enemy was too scared to engage. That's Mike's legacy. Not 12 kills, 12,000 lives. The Donovan Doctrine remains standard doctrine in modern aerial combat training. Fighter pilots learn aggressive engagement principles. Gunners on transport aircraft study psychological intimidation tactics. Even modern missile defense systems incorporate the concept of early engagement to disrupt enemy coordination. March 6, 1944 lasted 4 minutes. 1 tail gunner. 12 enemy fighters. The moment when defense became offense, when reaction became action, when one South Boston street fighter proved that survival doesn't come from hiding. It comes from making your enemy too scared to fight. Michael Donovan fired 2,000 rounds, destroyed 12 aircraft, saved 3,000 lives, changed warfare forever. Not because he was special, because he refused to wait for death to come find him. He went hunting first.